Hi, I'm Rich with New Life Scientific, and today I'm actually going to shoot a video on how to change the plunger seal on this microfluidic system. They make it so that it's fairly easy to do, so that if you're running production, especially on a machine like this one, and all of a sudden you start getting drips from this port down here, then that means you've actually got a blown plunger seal. So this is the spot where it'll drip. So it just kind of bypasses the seal, it bypasses the plunger, and it starts dripping inside the cavity in here. So then you basically just shut the machine down and have a little toolbox, and I'm going to show you some of the tools that you want to keep on hand, and we're going to actually remove it and show you how to change the plunger seal when we get in there. There's some other components in there too that if you want to buy a rebuild kit and go through and do all of them, but it's always the plunger seal that goes out, and most of the other seals last almost 5 times as long as the plunger seals do. So keeping plunger seals on hand, and we'll come over here and we'll look at and show you exactly what seal we're changing. And right there's your plunger seal. You can see it's very, very small. So the plunger goes inside of it, and then the outside cavity seals on the outside. And then this is just a backup seal that goes on top. If this comes out without damaging it, it actually will last a long time too. But this is the seal that is always going to need replaced the most. And that's the one we're going to get to. And we're going to look at some of the tools I have here. And you can see I have an assortment of wrenches. This is the main wrench, 5/8 is the one that you use on most of the fittings over there. But I just keep some adjustable wrenches on hand because you can use them for different sizes. And then also we actually have a spanner wrench here. And this one here is actually 2 to 4 3/4 if you want to pick these up on Amazon. They're not that expensive, but you can see it has the hook here. And then also this is kind of a specialty tool spanner wrench, and this is one that I believe Microfluidics actually makes, but we're going to show you how it works. And then I have a brass pick here, which we're going to use to actually pick the seal out, because we've got to kind of dig down in. So these are the tools we need. Not a whole lot here. I actually have my magnifying glasses too when I get down and I want to actually look at the seal and evaluate the damage on everything. But on this one here, I doubt if you're going to be able to see it on the camera, but we'll see here. I'm going to just point out, you can see this seal here is actually blown, and it's been damaged right on this edge around here. And I actually changed this one out yesterday, so we do actually have a new seal in here already, but I'm going to go ahead and take it apart and actually show you how to replace it. I'll get right down to the actual removing of the seal, and I probably won't remove it because I don't want to risk damaging a brand new seal. They are about $75. So, and again, I'll show you who I get them seals from, and also who I recommend for your servicing on the machine after, perhaps purchasing one from us. We do warranty, we do put new seals in it, we get it ready for the customer, but we don't do that continuing yearly support when you need that yearly maintenance. Unless you're in the area and you want to bring it by, we'll do it in-house for you. But other than that, we don't travel out. So anyways, we have people for that, and we're going to let you know who that is. So I've already emptied the machine after running it, and I'm just going to actually remove the reservoir here, and then just simply unscrewing that and taking that loose there. And we have a seal here, and I'm just going to set these parts up here because we're not going to need to do anything with those. I'm going to take the seal off and set it up here, but I'm going to leave this whole assembly all together here. And if I were going to rebuild the check valve, then we would be coming in to this section here where the check valve is at. So I'm not planning on doing that. The check valve usually lasts quite a bit of time, so this video is just specifically on, and we're going to grab some wrenches and bring them over here real quick. first thing I'm going to do is just remove this line here, and that's where the 5/8 inch goes. So just loosening it there, loosening it here. And once you get them loose, they're very easy to unscrew because they've got some lubrication on the threads, so that it's set up so that you can remove parts and clean them. And then we're going to look at this again on the videos I've done in the past, setting, you know, that collar there, a couple threads in, so that you can get a good seal on it again, and before you reinstall them. So we're going to set this aside up here. And now it's pretty much loose here. We're going to just spin this whole assembly off. But here's where we need the spanner wrench, and that's the one I showed you over here. So we're going to reach over and grab that. And it just simply hooks on there so that you can loosen it, and it'll loosen it. So I just do one little pop, and that's it. And the reason I don't want to screw it off too far, because it's actually going to screw the whole head off here, is because I want to know how far I'm going to put it back on. So when I get it up to that point right there, I'll know that it's on far enough. So with that loose, this whole thing is loose now. And we're probably going to get a little bit of fluid dripping out of it. And this is where it's really important to have a good hold on this, because there's a ceramic plunger in here when we get the threads out far enough, and we don't want to damage that plunger because we'd have to replace that if we damage it. So we're just holding this whole assembly and turning it off. Just waiting for that last thread to break loose. And there we are. You can see it right there. So then we just pull this out really slow like that off that ceramic plunger. So there's the ceramic plunger. And then here's where we got to get in with our other spanner wrench. That's kind of a specialty tool. And you're going to see some other seals and different things here that we're not going to change. Like I said, they last a lot longer than the plunger seal. So I've got my vise set up here, and I got, you know, a rag set up here too, because I don't want to scratch when I clamp this in. I'm just going to clamp it right there. And that gives me a good solid, you know, work spot where I can get the next part off. And then here's your specialty tool. And if you are interested in doing this, we do sell the specialty tools. Ours is a little bit different than this, but, or, you know, we can even, I think the company we work with, Dydromatics, I think they're in New Jersey, but we get our seals from them. They also do service work on the East and West Coast. They also sell parts for Microfluidics, and we work with them for all of our parts. Now, the reason I do, because the owner of this company is actually an engineer that worked for Microfluidics, and he actually did all the service work, but then he kind of ventured out on his own and has his own line of fluidizers. So he knows these machines very, very well. He carries parts, and he actually services these machines. And so we really like him a lot, and that's why we use him. So anyways, that's just a shout out to that company. So you can see that this tool is made to fit right down in here. And what we're doing is we're going to actually remove that plug so we can get access. So just one little jerk, and it comes pretty much loose, and you just keep spinning it around because we need to get it out here where our fingers can grab a hold of it like that. So we're taking this plug out here. And there's one piece in there. It's a split collar, but again, that usually lasts a long time. Now, if you're doing your yearly service, that would be included in just kind of a yearly service to replace that. So that one I don't mess with unless it really looks bad or I'm doing a yearly service on it. So now we are down, and if we can get the camera in here, you can see the top seal here. That's the backup seal, and then the other one is sitting right behind it. And I'm going to show you how these are sitting in there with the ones I already pulled out. So that is sitting in there like that, or no, I'm sorry, it's sitting in there like that, and this one is sitting on top of it. So now, because I've already reached in here yesterday and I've pulled these out with my brass pick, and when you pull them out, this top one here, if it doesn't come out very easy and you get little nicks in it, then I replace it. But if it just comes out really easy, I'll reuse that one. But this is the one right there. Once you can get that one out, then you want to get the next one. You get your brass pick, and the reason you use brass is so you won't scratch any areas on the inside, because this is what seals. If you get a scratch in there, it'll actually cause leaks. So it's very important to be careful and use something that won't scratch, like a brass pick. So anyways, so I'm not going to take this out here, but right here, like I said, you would just push that under there and just work that out. Get that one out and do the exact same on the next one. It's not that hard. Then when you put the seal back in, you're going to get a new one, and I've got new ones in this package here again, but you're going to just take it and you're going to stick it down kind of in like this. Stick it down and push it down, and then fold it over. And the reason is because this edge here, you can't just stick it straight in, because this edge will catch. That's why you got to push it in, down in it, and then kind of push it in, and then just take, I usually just use my fingernail, because I don't even like to use a pick, to do that final push that edge in and seat it down, because it wedges down in there and creates that seal. So that's all there is to it. You would then just lay this one. This one's reversible. It don't matter which way it goes. This one is not. It has this has to go in, you know, the right way. And you can watch when you bring the other one out too, because you might forget. Just make sure the way you see that one sits is the way this one has to sit in there. Now, just to let you know, if you put it in upside down, it fits in there real easy, because this is tapered, and it looks like, hey, you know, you put it in that way, it fits in real easy, but that's not the right way. It's you have to fit it in where this is this way. So if that might help you to remember. So basically that's it. Once you get that, this one easily fits in right in there, and you're just going to put in. I just use my fingernail, my fingers, because I know I won't damage anything that way, but just tucking it down in there, and then putting the plug back in. This will seat it to tighten it, push down on it, and get it right where it needs to be. So if you get in here and you notice any debris in here in this area, you definitely need to clean it. But because this machine is so new, this one is extremely clean. It's had actually very little use, so there's no debris. But you'd want to clean all the debris off, and you know, I'm just going to wipe that edge off right there, because this is, you know, producing a high pressure seal here. So there's some a little bit of thread grease on there so that it threads on really nice, and you get that started back in there after you get those new seals in. And when I can't hardly thread it again, we're just basically reversing everything we're doing. Now, the time I spent there kind of explaining to you how to remove and put the new seals in, I could have easily had that replaced. And here we're going to have to just give that a nice, tight, snug fit. So that's about it. Again, this This O-ring here, that just lasts so long. You know, there's really no need to change that outside of a yearly maintenance. But that seal, that inner seal there, that inner plunger seal, definitely you're going to probably have to change that more often. So once you get that done, you're going to grab a hold of this, take it out of your vise. You're going to come back over here, and this is where you've got to be very, very careful. And you have to line it up and just slowly wiggle it back and forth and just slowly guide it back onto the ceramic plunger. And then once you get the threads up there, just keep a little bit of back pressure. Get them threads started. Once you get them started, you're through the hard part. And again, we left our collar there, so we know where we got to stop. And there it is. So we know that this goes straight up here, and we know that our collar stops there. So that's where we take our spanner wrench here, we hook it on there, and we just give it a little tap down to lock it. And sometimes, you know, you might not get this quite straight here, but these here have a little bit of wiggle room on this one. Some of them don't. And some of the models, the older models, actually sit up here, and you would have to get this perfectly straight to have your reservoir sitting perfectly straight. This one is a little bit different. The newer models, they come out the front instead of sitting or coming off the top. So these aren't near as bad because you can actually adjust this without adjusting this. So getting that tight right there, and then you can actually bump this back a little bit because of this flex it has in here. So yeah, that's about it. You have now seen how to replace that teeny little plunger seal that creates the high pressure and seals. So once you do it, you go through it like that, and you put the seal back on here, put the reservoir back on there, and just replace your clamp here. And then you got your feed line here. And again, check your position of your collars. Make sure you see about 2 threads showing on the end of the cone, like that. And then you're just going to bring this in. You're going to stick this in and up here. Just hand tighten it there. And then back here, same thing. Tighten it as far as you can with your fingers. And then the 5/8 inch wrench, just that final tightening. Just a nice snug, don't over tighten it, but don't under tighten it. And I get my hand up under there, give it a little support, and just give it a nice snug fitting. And then we're back ready to run production again. So super simple. If you got any questions, if you want to go deeper and rebuild like the check valve in it, and you feel confident about it, hey, just get a hold of me. We might shoot a video on how to do that too. But the big one is definitely knowing how to replace the plunger seal, because you don't want to call a service technician out to do that. If you're running production, this ought to be something that you have and have available and keep it in stock. And especially if you have an in-house technician that can just come in and do that for you. But that's how simple it is. Keeps you up in production. Within I would say 15-20 minutes. Once you get it down, you should be able to have this changed. So anyways, if you have any questions on this unit or ones like this or benchtop models, we carry a whole line of microfluidics products that we constantly get in and out. So anyways, we're here to answer any of your questions or sell you a machine. So if you got any questions, get a hold of us here at New Life Scientific. Thanks for watching.